Hello. Right, so this will just be a video to tutorial you through like everything. I'll just go through like a list of as much as I can and just try to explain all of these well enough. So we'll just start at the start. So player start, right? Ping manager first thing. Ping manager works off literally one exposed instance of a variable, which is a reference to the ping point you're specific. So it would be this one. So whenever you're trying to make it, all you're doing is dragging in one of these collision boxes for the ping manager and then a ping point, and all you'll have to do is pin drop this ping as that, and then it'll work. The code is simple enough. All you're doing is walk through and it'll start collision, and it'll add it visible to the HUD, and then once you're within, I think the measurement is like 5 meters of this, it'll start fading away. The next dialog trigger, obviously simple enough stuff like this loads. All these exposed variables, change them how you like. The only thing that needs to be set is on the first one for the entire level, it has to have these things checked as is first. Well, is first is the only thing. You can add these other ones, so you can add the delay however much you want, that's fine, and text or whatever, but this, for the first one in the level, this is first thing has to be checked. The reason for that is because it's going to go through here. Whenever it first starts, like this is just to check the, what's it called? What do you say? This is just adding the whole mission objective, like the top left corner, it'll say mission objective, and then there's underscore where you have the actual like details about the mission objective. This is what's showing the actual objective itself. So that's why you have to have that, and then everything else will go, once it goes is first, then it'll go through the other pieces of code where it'll do anything else, where it'll do your other like parts, as well as the mission brief, which is then we'll go to checkpoint. So checkpoint system is running through a whole bunch of stuff. Well, actually not really, but it's using these. So it's using the game instance, which you and the save, right? I'm going to try to update this, but these are all the variables it's going to save, and it only saves them when you go through the checkpoint. It won't save them off default. So like say I start playing now and I walk, nothing is saved. So if I exit out of the game, say I walk to like just before the trigger, right, and I exit the game and then restart, it'll restart me where the player is now. It will not save anything until you walk through the checkpoint, and at that point it'll save player data, where you're looking, kill amounts and all sorts. And you can also set within it, see this instance editable, this save mission stats. So that I only added, it's mainly just as like a something for like level design and like a little tester thing, but basically say for here, right, there's this naked dude. This guy was here for testing when I was working with the save system, because I was having a lot of issues getting it to work with like saving variables within like the ALS character, because just I wasn't really agreeing with it or whatnot, right? And so I had this guy here just as a tester, so I could shoot him, walk through a checkpoint, and test if it worked. But I also wanted to make sure that I could keep this checkpoint here and not save the mission stats, so I could like test it out as in I kill him, walk through here. I don't save the fact that I've killed him as like part of the kill counter, but at this checkpoint I do. So it's trying to, it was just mainly for debugging, but basically all you can do is you can tick this to save or not to save, and it'll not save mission stats, so it won't save stuff like picking up this laptop. It won't add intel to your actual saved intel counter until I reach this checkpoint. Or it won't add the fact that I've killed this guy until I reach this that checkpoint. Sure, next, right. Pickups, these are just the pickups within iWalls by default. The only main thing I changed was adding, obviously, the laptop, like the Intel pickup. It'll work the same as everyone else. You walk up to it, press E, and like you'll see him bloody put it in his pocket and stuff, which is a nice coincidence because I didn't actually do much. I forgot that that was actually going to happen whenever I was coding it, so that's just a little piece. But the Intel itself, so currently in this map there's 1, 2, and then I think there's a third one somewhere down there. So 3 Intel points. These will all be determined within your mission manager, so I'll talk about this next. So the mission manager acts as the manager. It's trying to, it's one thing that is within the level that is sort of monitoring and working with a bunch of different mechanics, like the enemy kills, the mission brief, and like intels and stuff, right? So there is like better ways to implement something like this, but I thought this was the best way to do it for you, so I could, so that it is literally, it's, you know, you could put it in the game mode, you could put it in fucking a different like controller. Pardon me, it's burp. You can put it in all sorts, but I just thought this was the best way because you can literally click on it within the level and edit through it. So say, just an example, right? The Intel. So say you wanted there to be like 5 Intel pickups, right? Change this number to 5 and then add pin drop your Intel, like your laptop. So you'd add this one, say there's like 2 others in the room, that one and that one, right? So you do that and then it'll work. This will mean that at the ends of the game, whenever it says your what's it called? Whenever the mission stats come up, the mission screen comes up, it'll say like how many actually are there. So instead of saying, like by default it says 4, but that's that'll automatically change. Instead of saying 3, it'll say 5. Because this function here is linked to the data and the number that is in here. Same with the total enemies and stuff. And the way it works with the total objective enemies, so you know the way at this section, once you cross through here, it'll change your mission objective to be like, alright, kill the enemies, and it'll say 0 to 4, right? Once you kill each one, 1, a 4, 2, a 4, 3, a 4, 4, a 4, and then it'll finally disappear. Say you want this to, you want there to be 10, objective enemies, and there's 10 of these guys walking about. You change this number to 10, and it'll do the correct thing where the HUD will be, say, 0 of 10, and 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, and then once it reaches 10, it'll go away, so it'll all work fine. And same thing with the mission complete. This will say, well no, actually this will not. This here number currently says, 7. It is determined again by the kill count, which is saying how many total enemies there are in the level. So that's the difference between the total enemies and total objective enemies. Is total enemies is every single enemy in the level you want to be accounted for is this number, and then every enemy that you want to have for a specific zone. So say, you know, you have a big warehouse and it's like, you know, you have to somehow clear out all the enemies, all the 10 enemies that are in that warehouse. That's when you would change, you know, that number to 10. Next. Mission brief. Same thing. It's in the mission manager. All you have to do this, the mission brief duration and the show mission brief. So obviously you've changed the mission brief a lot, but it still works. Like, as in, this stuff should still function as. Currently, it'll work as, by default, there's 15 seconds. Once a player starts, it'll show the mission brief for 15 seconds and then it'll go away. Or it'll have the mission brief up and then there's the play button underneath it and you just click play and bang, your bombs around and keep moving. The show mission brief acts as just play testing so that you don't have to sit through the timer, but that doesn't really apply anymore since you can just skip through the mission brief now by just clicking the play button. Obviously this is the text and you've changed it, so I don't know if that fully still applies, but you can change it if needs be. We're going to these lights. So the lights, these are all just killable, so you can shoot them, a little bit of sparks, light will go out. You can also rate them up to the button. Currently all this stuff only works with a button. Realistically it wouldn't be that complicated, it would just be a little slightly time consuming. It will take me a little bit to get this stuff applying to the other things, because I know there is a, let's see, like there's the valve, well I shouldn't know how the valve works, but I know there's a lever thing, right? I'm not losing my mind, am I? I swear there's a lever. There is within here. So getting it to work with that, and it wouldn't be too difficult in theory, but we'll see. But the way it's working is basically these buttons. There's a button for the, you know, this button will mess with the lights, this button will open this door, this button will move this ship around. It's all the same blueprint, but the only difference is the variables that are set within it. So obviously for the door, when I want to open this door, or say, well yeah, I want to open this door, or say I want to open, well I could change this to him right now, but basically say I want to open this door, say activate door to true, and then select the door by pin drop, and then it'll work that way. Open, close, and it'll also work out so that you can open the door simply by like interaction. So you can press E and it'll open, and close, press E again. The switch will account for whether or not the door is open, and I press E, like say I walk up to the door, open it just with the interaction, and then I want to close it using the button. It'll actually close the door still, which is not simple enough, but it still works. Then for the various lights, you can turn them off and on, and it will work with say this one is turned on, but these two lights are turned off by default. Like when the game starts, it'll when you press this button, it'll turn this light off, and it'll turn these two ones on. So it'll flip flop between the two for each individual light. This dynamic thing, so the reason, I remember you asked me about this, like, what can I use this for? So the reason I added this is, obviously you've had some, like, trouble, or just, well not, I wouldn't say trouble, but just level sequences themselves. Implementing them takes, you know, not necessarily long, once you get a good hang of it, but it takes long-ish, or it takes time, right? I implemented this, so that you could literally just activate it like that. So say a more scalable way of doing this would be adding this implementation to like just a trigger box. So I could do that at some point. So that you could just walk through a trigger box and this will move left, right, up, down, or whatever the fuck. But currently it works with a button. The functionality is there, I just have to copy and paste it somewhere else. Obviously activate, it's the same thing. Activate dynamic, which is talking about this, and the reason I say it's dynamic and not just activate boat, I think this naming convention is a bit weird, it shouldn't be like that, but you can change it to a bloody bandage, you can change it to a barrier, you can change it to a bucket, and it'll still work. It'll still scale, it'll still move this up currently, or say if I swap this to down or left, it'll move it down or left. So the reason for this is like, say with this cliff, right? Cliff looks good enough. Probably should scale it that way. So I scale this up, right? And imagine you're in the canyon, same as like my Wild West level, right? The thing I have is, you know, you blow up the TNT and then this, and then the rock wall like collapses. I think that level sequence, it didn't take me long, but I mean it just took longer than this, where you can literally drag it into a level, put a button, and then point which direction whatever static mesh is. So say you even make a static mesh is the thing. Like say you wanted it to be this bloody house, you could collect all these objects, group them, and then go into actor and convert them to static mesh, and then that static mesh that you made you can change into the static mesh that is connected to here, and it'll still function. So it's more that you can make level sequences just faster or simpler with this method, just as like a tester. Like obviously a level sequence itself is going to be better because it's easier to customize, and like you can have a ton of actors within it and meshes and stuff. But this was just as like something that you could literally put in as a placeholder like that, and sort of get a vibe for what it could be. So like a cave collapsing, you can have the fucking, you know, rocks coming down, or say it's a door like blasting open. No, you can set this. You can set the variable to down, and you can set the speed to max, and then it'll just like throw the door down. Do you know what I mean? Water break. Next, I really need to learn how to like edit because these are going to be so janky. Ping manager. Checkpoint ping. Next would be, sure, we'll talk about, well I'm on talk it. So power generator and the way this gate works. So once again, still uses the button. I could make it use the lever as I said before, just take a minute. But the way this is working is showing like how complex you can make this. Well, I wouldn't say complex, but I just mean you can add everything to this. So say when I turn this generator on, right? Currently what it does is it changes this little light to green, show that it's on. It will change this panel to green just to indicate, oh, this is on too, and it'll open this gate. It'll move this gate left, right? You know, good, and the generator will have like particles and will start a little engine sound, which is all nice. But say I wanted to expand on it even more, and I wanted to add lights to it. I could add this light to this very simply. Shift G, to ungroup it. So starts lights on. So say I want it to start. Currently it's off by default, right? So that's another thing you do, but like you can change the intensity and stuff. Or if I wanted to add it to this generator, I would just say activate lights and add a light element. Like this one, and now whenever I turn this button on, this light will turn on. I'd walk through it, but for some reason it's just a bit slow. Or if right, the bomb interact, right? So the way the bomb interact works is, so detonate now, right? If you want it to work, as in there's no, currently it uses this level, the trigger complete stuff, right? Or we had like the extraction complete stuff as well, right? So we'll just use this trigger complete. So say whenever it's, currently it works by walking through this trigger complete, and then the temple will actually blow up. Like you'll see the particles, you'll see the temple collapse and stuff like that. That's how it works currently, because the explosion particles are set within this, which are these 3 explosion particles on the ground, you see, right? As well as stuff like the actual temple itself. So the temple explosion, the temple fracture, is actually the temple, which is, as I said before, the way we made whenever we were making this bridge and stuff, and how to explode it, like using the fracture system. I don't know. You could do it within here, so you could add whatever bloody thing it is. It could be like a car explosion or building explosion or something like that. These torches stuff, that is simply so that the torches within the building. You could do it where for stuff like this as well. So you could add a static mesh variable, which is probably something I should do. Yeah, static mesh destroy. So currently it's going to destroy this truck as well. But say you wanted to add like this tomb and these little rocks as well, just to make the explosion more convincing. Do you know what I mean? Because if some TNT is going to blow up right here, then this tomb or whatever it is should not still be standing after the explosion, if you get me. So you can add that to the to this list of SM destroy, and it'll destroy those away. So the variables for actually finish and destroy others. So whenever you're trying to destroy that like tomb, as I said, this destroy other has to be ticked, and then you're pin drop picking what static meshes you want to destroy. And this actually finish variable. So this is just to determine which one or which thing is the, you know, what thing is the actual level complete. What dictates when you've actually completed level, and that would be this complete level. And you'll notice that right now, the way the player walks is he's going to walk through this gate, and he's going to end up walking through this trigger, right? And you would think, oh right, well then that's, you know, that's just going to trigger level. That is not the case, because in the code it is looking for this. It's looking for this completed level variable. So once I walk through this, it's going to check, is this completed level variable true? And if it's not, it'll just ignore me. So that when I walk up here, go actually blow up the temple, like place the bomb, then here it's going to set that level, that completed level variable as true. And then once I run back here, it'll allow the code to go through, because it'll bypass this branch, and then it'll like complete the level. So if you notice, anytime it doesn't complete the level, once you blow something up or you do blah blah blah, just it'll most likely be that this completed level variable somewhere is not being checked as true. So I'll go through the pause menu and stuff. So the way it's working, obviously press K. I'll find a better button for it. I don't know why it's on K right now. It was just that I tried swapping it once and it was on some weird, it was just causing collision with some random stuff. But in future we'll swap to a different button. But obviously resume, restart game, load game, bring up this tab, right? So currently, as you can see, it shows empty, and these little X's say it did say load game 1 or something. If I press X, it would delete that save slot, right? The way this is working is whenever I press this, loading field, no game, and it's just gonna put me back to where I was. Say I did that in the main menu. If I'm right, I go load game, click load game, loading field, it's gonna return me back. So currently we have no saved game. That's why those field casts were. If I press continue, what it is doing is it's trying to load from a save game. It's going to say loading failed because there's no save to load. It's going to return me. So it's not. If I do this, it won't. Nothing's going to show up until I press new game.